Man, I'm just thinking about a lot of the complaints you hear socially, politically, that, oh, this is the worst it's ever been. This is, the sort of the end of history. Like we've got capitalism encroaching upon the ability for people to do well and to compete. And just the other day, I was listening to YouTube with my family, and I was talking. We were listening. It was "We Didn't Start the Fire" came on, Billy Joel, and that song really encompasses that every generation has dumpster fire going on, and it's been going on since the fall of man. It's just in our nature, and it's our job to educate our youth to learn something from the past and to teach. How can investors get behind? Is there anything they can get behind that can help inoculate outside of just preaching these theoreticals about how we need to teach our kids? Like, what should we be investing in to help inoculate the future?
First of all, the good news is that it has been worse at times in our country. We had a civil war that was very, very destructive, but it was caused by the great evil, first and foremost, of slavery, and then other things as well. But first and foremost, there would not have been the Civil War without the evil of slavery. I would say that period in the late Vietnam War era, our country was being torn apart by a variety of things. And so we have weathered horrific storms to the body politic, in a sense, in the past. We can weather the current moment. The last few years have seemed very crazy, though. We've had a society where there's senior leaders who can't tell the difference between a boy and a girl. We've had people who've said one man's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist, and they've specifically said George Washington is no different from a terrorist like Osama bin Laden or Che Guevara. So we've lived in a moment of a lack of moral absolutes that calls into question everything. The good news is, first of all, that truth is truth. The fundamentals from gravity to biology, etc., and moral truths about the difference between seeking justice versus kind of rapine, pillage, plunder type of approaches. I mean, there are differences here. In the corporate sector, I think first and foremost, to start with a sense of reality. I think there's been a lot of worry in the past decade about corporations through some DEI policies, some ESG policies moving out of bounds of reality. And let me give you one very specific example that I think is indisputable in the corporate sector in Europe. Europe, over the past 20 years, has been on this virtue signaling campaign about the climate, to the point where countries like Germany and France were willing to shut down their coal plants, shut down the refineries, seeking green energy. And here's the rub. They were willing to offshore their energy security to places like Russia. So they allowed the Russians to drill for oil and pump the gas and then ship it to Europe. So corporations, these are decisions by publics and corporations and governments to reduce their own energy security, to put it in the hands of their historic enemy. Who's Germany's historic enemy? Russia. Russia's the country that attacks many of its neighbors or seeks to control them. But out of a crazy sense of unreality, to hand over their economic and their energy security to their mortal enemy, that's the kind of unreal and frankly unethical thinking that went on in Western Europe over the past 20 years. Look at the way that really came to hurt them at the beginning of the Ukraine war.